Welcome, welcome everyone to SRF Weekend Warriors presented by RaceVoice. I am Jim Hodgson. Joining me in the commentary booth is Dane Baird, and in the production booth is, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Marco Barbanera. Thank you so much for being with us. Now, last week at Long Beach, Burbagal took the win from Nam, followed by Arabian, but that was enough to allow Aero Nam to increase his championship lead over Maurizio Nicelli by 10 points. We'll get to those points in just a moment. Keeping in mind, of course, that drop races have not yet been figured in. The series is best 9 of 12 races. Now, this week, we are at Lime Rock Park, which is, in my opinion, very nearly a perfect marriage of track and car. However, it is a very short track with some extremely tricky corners, not least of which being this corner we're looking at right here, the 5, 6, and 7 complex, otherwise known as the uphill chicane. We will doubtless see, we'll see some action there, won't we, Dane?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely one of the action points. There's the sneaky red curves there. They are much bigger than they seem from inside of the cockpit of the car. As we're currently looking at a couple of drivers heading through Big Bend. You gotta love the corner names here.
Yeah, they aren't. They're descriptive, aren't they? As you leave Big Bend and then you enter left-hander, where we are now, and shortly after left-hander, you go through right-hander, and then there's the uphill chicane, which is of course an uphill chicane, and anyway, you'll hear all about that. Let me tell you, first of all, Dane, I want to say thank you so much to RaceVoice for sponsoring this series. Without them, none of this fun would be possible. RaceVoice is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Weekend Warrior Spec Racer Ford Racing Series. Take your driving to the next level with on-track audible performance alerts with RaceVoice and RaceVoiceSIM. Those are critical, believe me when I tell you that. You can hear miles per hour, your turn entry and exit speeds, upshifts alerts, and other performance metrics which are selected and configured by you. Go faster with the speed of voice. Plus, Dane, this is going to blow your mind. Weekend Warriors get 50% off annual sim pricing using the promo code of WW50. Check them out at www.racevoice.com. Now, we are already gridding up, so we'll have to get to championship results here in a second because I don't want to miss any more of the grid than absolutely necessary. I apologize for galloping through all of this, guys. We got a lot to get to before the race starts, and I'm so excited about this race today. I love this track, and these cars in this track together, I think, are such a great match. Here we go. Here is your grid. That's Aero Nam on P1 in pole position, followed by Rafael Burbagal. Last week's winner was Burbagal. On row 2, Austin Winner and Steven Elson. Then Maurizio Nicelli and David Bohm in P6. Jorg Manny and Florence Arabian in 7 and 8. They are followed by Mick Carr and Dan Sadro, who are followed by Nico Shook and Josh Arnold in P12. In 13th place, it is Jeff Frischer, who has Simon Mayer Sly Racing for company. Then there's Tim Van Dormelen and Jason Perry, who are followed by Michael Dobeck and Stephen Beardsley, Carter Hutcherson, Dominique Bureau, Antonio Race, Bobby West, Jesus A. Rodriguez, and Ken Batley in 24th place. They are followed by Gene Pereira and Adam Bradshaw in 25th and 26th, followed by Miro Haraski, Joost Simpkins, Jeremy Lewis, Marco Anastasi, Stevie Ray. Thank you so much for organizing this race, Stevie Ray. Flavio Andalo, Thomas Renders, Ian Haycox, Tony Shook, and Samuel Dick in P36. They are followed by Tom Gradwell, Paul Jackson, Johan Butenga, Bob Kern, Ryan Bell, Yuri Cox, Claudio Vacalebre, Jeff Jacobson, Peter Muzarek, Antonio Jalbert, and Jonathan Mino and Chris, Georgian Dellis. Hope I got that right, Chris. They are followed by Andres Bertoni, Jeff Cantor, Richard Franco, Joshua Flores, Aaron Vagley, Brian D. Short, Hugh Haycox, J. William Smith, Mike Knudsen, Brett Nordstrom, and Alessandro Daladon. There he is. All right, we are just about to get this race started. Unbelievable that we managed to get through the grid, but here we go. They are just about to round this is the second to last corner as we go around the last big sweeping turn onto the start-finish straight. Nam, of course, in the lead. We will see the pace car dip into the pits here shortly. Nam will be in control of the field as we go around this corner. He does not appear to be doing too much to back up the field. Now, we will see a great big backup when they get around to the uphill chicane. Nam getting a little bit of a grip, a little bit of a gap on the field, and we are very shortly going to be underway. There we go, crossing the start-finish line. And we are racing. Nam moves into the outside line for the best possible line through corners 1 and 2, also known as Big Bend. Everybody getting through 1 and 2 so far looks like fairly cleanly. That's Nam from Berbergal, from Winner, from Naselli, and Elson as they go into left-hander. You'll notice it because it is, in fact, a left-hander. Here is right-hander. And Nam has a little bit of a gap on the field as we head down this no-name straight into the uphill chicane, which we will be seeing shortly. There's the beginning of the braking zone for the uphill straight, and there they go. And there are those curves that Dane spoke about. They are gigantic. They will take your car and throw it into the wall without so much as a thank you very much. Here we go through this penultimate corner on the course. Honestly, Dane, I was expecting to see much more carnage back there in the uphill chicane than we have. Although Stevie Ray did let everybody know before the race to be very careful and not to get into any trouble back there. And speaking of getting into trouble, I think that was maybe Bohm's car getting a little bit loose there on the final turn. And here we go there. So Nam with the fastest, oh dear. 5 wide into Big Bend. That is Perry in second place. I think he is just behind Mayer in the number 9 car, or excuse me, in the 308 car. Yeah, that's 308, the Jägermeister car. And Perry is off the track between turn 2 and left-hander. He has rejoined fairly safely. Here are your leaders. That's Nam from Berbergal, from Winner, navigating the uphill chicane. Wow, I gotta say, some great driving out there on track. Everybody is being very careful, although I'm seeing lots of red in the event ticker now. So somewhere on track, there's been a whole big mess. Here come your leaders, Nam and Berbergal, nose to tail. There is a very much worse for wear car dipping into the pits there. Who could that have been? Not sure. It doesn't say. Mino into the pits. Thank you, Marco. Oh dear, there's a car very much off track.
Oh, that's not good. Oh, get up. Yep, that was nice getting out of the way for the 377
Simpkins
machine. Oh, just
geez.
darting across into the pits.
That is one thing you have to be very careful of on this track. When people have incidents, they will very often, especially people who, not to be an elitist, but people who are racing with one monitor and no VR and no triple monitor or no super ultra wide setup, they will crash and not realize there are cars still circulating, and they will attempt to rejoin and cause a further incident. Although that does, of course, happen at the elite levels of racing as well. Just ask Sebastian Vettel. Anyway, never mind that. Editorializing about Formula One, Dane.
Well, we see the top 3 cars sort of pulling away a little bit. That's Nam, Berbergal, and Winner. They've got a slight gap of around about 6/10 of a second to Naselli, and that is a 25 car going around. Arabian doesn't manage to avoid slamming into the side of that's Mani, and Jörg Mani dropping down the order on the inside of Big Bend, and that is not a very good place to go. But it was interesting to see right at the start of the race that the first few corners of Big Bend, left-hander and right-hander, they sort of made the field very much single file throughout, which is why we didn't see too much interesting shenanigans happening into the chicane. As I say that, we've got some shenanigans happening at the chicane.
Yes, indeed. I believe that was Carr making a move on Shook and Sadro at the same time. And he somehow managed to make that happen. Lots of passes happening on track out there. We just saw Meyer get around Beardsley, I believe. There we are riding on board with Beardsley looking at the rear of Meyer's car. And that is Sadro off track at the final turn.
I'm seeing Ryan Bell crashing as well.
Dane, as you know, I was just talking to Steve Ray, the organizer. Oh dear. That is the number 25 car having a little... Looks like he might have had...
Oh, that's a crab. That's... Yep, that's a good crab happening there. Oh dear, 56. Off the circuit as well, that's Elson.
He's got a new livery
And
this week, I think.
I think he does. I think you're right. And yeah, this is. I think he's just probably hit the grass coming out of right-hander. And
So easy
yeah,
to
that's
do.
just sent him across the circuit. Luckily, he kept it out of the wall, which is good, but he did lose a couple of positions. And now the top three, with a little bit of a gap to Naselli in fourth, but they've got a good 4-second gap between Naselli in fourth and Bowman fifth now.
You know, as I was saying, I've done a little bit of driving on this track in this car this week, not only to prepare for this particular series, but because I just love that car. So I love the sort of throttle steering, the way that you drive this car. These drivers currently turning in the 1 minute. Best lap so far is just north of the 1 minute mark. I cannot get below about 103, so that gives you an idea of how fast these drivers are getting around this track. And let's see, if I were in the race today, I would be lapping somewhere around 56 of 59. So lots of great drivers on track today, which is can also be seen in, although we've had lots of events, not too many.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking at live timing at the moment, and there are a lot of drivers still very much on the lead lap of the race. I only see around about 5 drivers. That's Yogomani down in 55th and below. Only 5 drivers a lap down. After 7 laps or 7 minutes, it's basically the same thing at this car and track combination. But here, we can see Alessandro Dalladone, and that ahead of him is Vacalebri going off the circuit, and they're going to make it 3 wide almost as they head across the start-finish line to start a lap number 7 for these guys here. Alessandro going down the inside. He's got a bit of damage to the front of his car as well. Is he going to be able to make this move stick through Big Bend? Oh, he's got a little bit loose. They're still side by side as they head into turn 3 and 4 now, but now he's got to watch out all the way around the outside he's trying to go. Now through right-hander, and I think he might have made that one stick there, but there is a car at the chicane facing the wrong direction.
I think that is Carr's car. And yes, he's gotten it spun around. Just recovering from all of the stuff I said all at once on the first. Oh, there's just no way to rejoin safely here, is there? Because his car is all spun around. It's going to be terrible for Carr.
Yeah, the field is pretty spread out as well, quite evenly spread out, so he's going to have to be there for a very, very long time, unfortunately for him. Yeah, he has dropped down all the way to 54th.
Oof.
And he's finally just got up, just about got going again, just before the leaders arrive at him.
Well, maybe since we're kind of settling into the race, we can take a look at the championship standings really quick. Marco, what do you think? Why not, he says. Okay, really quickly, we will look at... Oh, I'm in the wrong channel. Terrible. Hold, please. All right. Your Spec 1 standings are, of course, Aeronam at 369 points, followed by Maurizio Naselli, Oran's Arabian, Yangshi Lin, Dominique Bureau, David Bohm, Josh Arnold, and Rafael Berbagal, who in 9th and 10th, there's Bobby West and Jason Perry, whom we just saw off the track. He's in the Spider-Man car. And we do not have Yangshi Lin in the race today because he is back home, I believe, and not able to race this week. So unfortunate for him because he would be having fun, but not so bad because we have plenty of drop races to serve him. So, do we want to look at Spec 2? Perfect. Your Spec 2 leader is Nico Shook, who's followed by Miro Haraski, just 6 points separating Shook and Haraski, followed by Paul Jackson, Claudio Vacalebre, Tom Gradwell in third. Excuse me, that looks like a 3-way tie for third there, doesn't it? And they're followed by Aaron Vigley, Brett Nordstrom, Jeremy Lewis, Brian D. Short, and Thomas Renders. And it looks to me like our mayor is currently running in P11 overall, but he is currently leading Spec 2. They, of course, have the numbers over 200, and then Mayor will be followed by Bradshaw, and Hrasky in 22nd overall. So as we stand, Hrasky might be able to make a move on Shook this week. Plenty of racing left to go, of course. We're just ticking over the 10th minute of a 40-minute race. So just doing some quick math, Dane, I think we have about 30 laps left to go.
Yeah, the lap times that they're doing are pretty much a minute dead on, as you can see there. None of the top 4 crossing the line, all pretty much doing a 1 minute 0.3. So yeah, we're going to have around about 40 laps in this race as we tick over to lap 11 just a few moments ago, and you can see most of the field still with a relatively clean looking car. Some of the drivers have a little bit of damage to them, but that's to be expected when you've got 60 cars on a 60-second lap circuit. So yeah, you can see on the track map on the right hand side of the screen, very, very spread out. And then the leaders are broken away, and there's a couple of stragglers near the rear of the field. But most of the drivers in the midfield are very, very close together, as we can see on the screen at the moment. We're looking at one of those groups there, all separated by just a few tenths of a second between each car there in the midfield.
So Joost Simpkins is in 52nd place, car number 377. But even so, is still lapping at just about a minute. Now the leaders are going to catch him here in a second. You can see them in the background. You can see Nam, Berbagal, Winner, and Naselli there in the background. And they are most likely going to catch Simpkins. But even though we have this, even though we're looking at this race, Dane, of nearly 60 cars, these guys are all within tenths of one another. This is Elson in his new Mercedes-inspired livery. Oh dear, we've got cars off track here.
Oh dear, that's the 206, I think, in the background, if I see that correctly. And yeah, that's not where you want your car to be, is it?
Turned it a little hard on the final corner there, did Shook, and got collected by the 286 machine. Oh dear. You lose so much time on this track if you don't absolutely pin it on these 2 final corners. But at that speed, on the limit, if you lose the car, you just don't have much maneuverability. Pow. That is Lewis in the 266. Unfortunate for both cars. And now we see the leaders are just about to start catching the rear of the train as we're navigating this uphill chicane here.
We have a lot of pit stops going on at the moment.
Yes.
Some of the drivers making their pit stops already, but most of those due to damage. However, we're now starting to see the first of the scheduled pit stops. The early stoppers are making their way out of the pits and are now out of the pits. And I think Steven Elson is one of them. Antonio Race is another of the drivers that have made pit stops from near the top of the field. So it'll be interesting to see how much time did they lose. The pit time was around about 10 seconds, 11 seconds for both of them. And their total time through the pit lane from pit limiter, or there isn't a pit limiter in this car, but from the entry cones to the exit cones was 35 seconds. As Jason Perry now also into the pits, he'll take a fast repair because his car is pretty heavily damaged.
Yeah, the pit speed limiter, I believe, in Mosbar, it's about 35. Number 11 car doing everything it can to get out of the way of the leaders, but also being a little bit scary. I think that's about 56K, something like that.
Yeah, so it's not very fast, is it?
It's not, but it's much less remarkable in one of these cars than, for example, in the GT3 Huracan, where it feels like you're absolutely crawling.
Or
but of course,
the
car has
Williams F1 car, which iRacing seem to love putting on this circuit during week 13. One of my favorite car and track combinations. Williams F1 machine at Lime Rock Park.
stick into the pits. Someone's had to take the escape road over there. Who is that? That's the 415 car. He's just decided not to do the chicane.
Probably trying to get out of the way of the drivers coming to lap him, I would imagine.
Might have done. He's going to maybe create a problem for Naselli there.
Man, you wouldn't tell, would you? There, you couldn't really tell that we were looking at the race leaders because they're right in the middle of a pack at the moment, and that is Beardsley. And Beardsley has found himself off the circuit out of right-hander, so I'd imagine he's either got on the curb on the inside a bit too much. It's a fairly big curb there, or he's touched the grass on the exit.
Well, Dane, I gotta say, I am very much impressed with the quality of the racing. Now, I've had the pleasure of being involved with the series for quite a while now, and it's taken a very much celebrated place in my heart. I was just complaining to Stevie Ray earlier today that I like commentating on this race a whole lot, but I also want to drive in it. But looking at the lap times that even the guys at the rear of the field are pulling, I believe that was Perry just dipping into the pits there, going by the look of his livery. I also want to drive in this series. Is there any way that I could commentate and drive in the series, do you think?
Oh, that's an interesting question, that is. As we've got Hutchison down to the pits. Oh!
Wow.
Just about making it through that gap there. I thought for sure he was going to make friends with that tyre barrier there. But he managed to somehow make it through. I almost guaranteed he's got a speeding penalty there, because I don't think he was expecting to go through quite that quickly there. So he's going to drop down the order quite considerably now.
Yeah, I think he got on the brakes and there was a little wiggle there, and he was...
Or not. He didn't get a speeding penalty. He took a 15-second stop and he's back out on the circuit.
Oh, well. Shows what we know, eh?
Absolutely nothing.
So, the eternal question at this part of the track that we've just left, that turn 5, 6, and 7 complex uphill... Oh, dear. There's the number 35 machine. That is Haycock's.
Ooh,
very damaged Spec Racer Ford.
Oh,
and there's
Austin
Winner off the track. Oh, Winner dropping behind Naselli. I believe he was running third or fourth, was he not? So just over a cooked Big Bend. Oh, he had to hit the brakes because he nearly hit Burbigal. And off the track in turn 2 there. Driving these cars on the absolute limit at this track is very much the car is basically out of control all the time in terms of exceeding the circle of grip that the tires can manage. So if you have an incident in the middle of a corner there while you're trying to get a fast lap time, that is just it.
Oh, three wide with the lapped car for the race lead. That's Burbigal trying to make a move on Eero Nom as they head down the start-finish straight to start lap 19. And Burbigal's now got the inside. He's had enough of staying behind. He wants the race lead now.
Wow. Some really excellent technical driving there on both drivers' parts to control their cars. We saw their brake lights come on just about the same moment there at the end of the start-finish straight heading into turn 1. So some really great driving there. Here's another series of cars going 2 wide. We're looking at Bradshaw here. I think Bureau and possibly Haycock's. Or no, that is the number 44 car. Excuse me. So here are your big gainers. Look at Haycock's up 42 places. Wow. You don't often see double digits, let alone 42 places, Dane. Deladon with 33.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. 42 positions gained for Hugh Haycock there. He has not made his pit stop yet, so you would expect him to drop back a couple of those positions. But we haven't seen too many drivers make a pit stop in this race so far, and he's currently sitting 24 seconds behind Burbigal, and pit stop is going to lose you around 30 seconds. So yeah, he's not going to be too far off of top 30 by the time he actually ends up making his way through. So yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself at the moment, currently sitting in 13th there.
Yeah, got to be pleased with that. So the front of the field has slimmed down to sort of Berbergal, Nam, and Naselli. That is that West attempting a pass in the uphill chicane? I think he's actually got it done. Not a place that you would normally think of attempting a pass, but I will say that driving in this series with just driving in the open series, you will certainly see people attempt to pass you there through the uphill chicane if they can, whether it's safe to do so or not.
Oh, there is Alessandro Dalladone in 26th, and he is side by side now. Hutchison trying to make his way up the inside into West Bend. And Hutchison makes that move stick, but Dalladone now just behind, and you will have the draft available to him now. He is going to just tuck in behind and probably close up that gap just a little bit, although his car is quite damaged at the front there, so that's not going to help him too much. There has been an overtake for 5th and 6th, no, 6th and 7th, as Van Dormelen has made his way past Fritscher.
Yeah, and that is Arabian into the pits there, pitting out of 4th, I believe, or maybe 5th. Pitting out of 5th, Marco reminds me. Thank you so much, Marco. He is driving the silk cut Jaguar livery. It's Dane's favorite livery on track, if I'm not mistaken. Not that we like to play favorites.
It's definitely one of them.
Well, here's Winner.
Winners. He's
yeah,
caught
he's
up a little bit. He's not quite as far behind as he was before. I would assume that the lap traffic hasn't helped his course at all. And the traffic is going to be, I think when we asked the drivers after the race what was the main issue in the race, it's definitely going to be traffic. As Nam into the pits on lap 23.
Oh dear. There's Arabian who has lost the car on his outlap. No, that's Rodriguez. Sorry. Similar livery. So what has happened to him? He's had an issue in the chicane. Very late break. Goes in hard. Hits the curb. Day over. Yeah, those things, those curbs in that uphill chicane, as Dane said at the top of the broadcast, if you can take, maybe a centimeter or two, but any more than that, and they're going to ruin your lap. Speaking of ruined lap,
287 is around in the background, and we were just seeing two cars off. 641 now as well. Big Ben causing issues for all of the drivers at the same time.
I love how whenever we see that shot down the start-finish straight and there's someone going into the pit, their rear deck lid is just open like a tin can. Berbergal through turns 1 and 2, looking pretty sharp. You wonder, don't you, when Berbergal will choose to pit? Maybe he's trying to do his best to make a little bit of, give himself a little bit of a gap, since he's kind of got a little bit of clear air there. Very tricky part of the course here, braking for turn 5 into that uphill chicane, because you never know what the car ahead of you is going to do in terms of slamming on the brakes, and you don't know what the car behind you is going to do in terms of not braking at all. So Berbergal overcooked that penultimate corner a little bit and dipped his wheels. Just headed into the final corner, and Naselli will go into the pits, pitting out of, second place. So Berbergal all by himself now, with a 5-second gap back to Winner, who's running in P2. Berbergal still with some clear air, so if he's feeling good, I guess he might not pit for a while. Looks like he's wearing a pair of corduroys there and a flannel shirt.
Absolutely, we love this suit. As one of the previous commentators in the series, I'm not entirely sure who it was, but I was saying you've got to drive in style, especially when you're in an open top car, where we see the driver's suit much more frequently. You've got to drive in style, of course.
Yeah. It's no use just being good. You also got to look good while you're doing it. That's what Marco always says.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can hear just a little bit of lift in those two final corners here as we're dipping into the pits, riding along with Berbagal. He will trade out his corduroys for a brand new set as a winner attempts a pass and appears to have got it done into turn 1. Winner with the fastest lap of the race so far, a 59.95. Mercy, that is fast. He got a pretty great toe down the start-finish straight, and there is some sort of incident down there in turn 1. Here is Berbagal just about to leave the pits. And is there a car stopped? No. Whoever that was stopped must have towed and gotten themselves out of the way. Oh, there's a car around in turn 1. Oh, no. And just got spun like a top in between turn 1 and 2. Was that Berbagal? No, that was Sadro.
And Barreau as well now.
So Marco has told us that
he has beaten Berbagal after the pit, so that's interesting. Was Berbagal held up by traffic, maybe? As another driver makes their way through the bypass and slams on the brakes, they're going to take a tow back to the pit lane. Let's see what happened. Was it? That was Aaron. And 247 has had enough. That's him done for the event. As that was very, very close between Sadro and Bone there. Bone almost pushing him around Big Bend. Let's see what happened then to Dan Sadro. Coming through Big Bend, all up on the curb. There is a car in front of him. And he just about manages to avoid it, to be fair. That was very good avoidance skills. And Austin Winner is in the lead of the race, hasn't made a pit stop. First driver to have made a pit stop, of course, Naselli. But Winner, the gap between himself and Naselli, around about 22 seconds. He was around 4 seconds behind Naselli when Naselli pitted. So we'll have to wait and see how long or how quickly has Winner been able to drive since Naselli went into the pit stop. Traffic obviously is going to play a major role. So we'll have to wait and see for him to make his pit stop, and I believe he'll be coming down into the pits this time by. You would expect him to. Hutchison is off the circuit. Not too sure where.
There's a lot of cars up on the inside there.
Oh, I think someone wanted to go into the pits there. Actually, no, the 22 just going slowly, letting some drivers pass potentially. And is that Dadadoni in the pits? Winner still leading the race though, and he's actually gained a couple of seconds. Van Dormelen and Fritscher both into the pit, as is De Beck in the number 42 machine. Everyone piling down to the pits. Winner staying out an extra lap.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how this develops toward the end of the race. There's Deladon out of the pits and back onto the circuit just ahead of Naselli. We're riding on board with Naselli here and there. Oh, there was West. West is pulling off the track. I guess he's going to head back to the pits. Not sure what's going on there. Winner. Oh, into the pits goes Winner. So your leader will be pitting. And there he goes. Speaking of driving in style, it appears I think his racing suit matches his livery.
Oh, and said he's got final corner winner into the pit box. And he is going to be in the pit box for, as we see on the bottom of the screen, 8.9 seconds, so a fairly quick stop. He comes out behind Naselli. There he is, in the background of the shot. And there is Berbagal with Ira and Nom just behind him. So Berbagal and Nom, big losers in the pit stops. Simon Mayer has not made his pit stop, so obviously he will be dropping down the order when he does. You would assume he will be making his pit stop this time by, because we're getting pretty late on into the race at this point. So Naselli leads then by just about 2 seconds over winner.
No, I'm just getting past Berbagal there in between 2 and 3, I believe. And you don't normally see, there's a car off track there in the uphill chicane. You don't normally see drivers passing one another. Lots of respect on track between these two drivers, which is great to see. They came into turn 1 just about as hot as you can and still control the car. But still running too wide through some of those corners where, you know, speaking for myself, I have a little bit of controlling the car when I'm all by myself. So a testament to the driving skill that we're seeing on track today. And Nom and Berbagal look like they're still battling. Here we go into turn 1, 3 wide. I think Berbagal is going to be a little bit held up, even though he has the inside, because they've got that car in front of them. That is the 206 machine. I'm not sure who's in that car as we head through left-hander. Nom feathering the throttle so that he doesn't lose the rear, trying to stay as close to Berbagal as he can, but not too close. So if there's anything that goes on with that car ahead, he won't be affected by it. Berbagal would love to get by this car into the braking zone of the uphill chicane. They both get by, and Berbagal goes in a little bit deep on the uphill chicane. So Nom will now try to take the inside for the penultimate, the last 3 corners. That was 7. Here is 8. They will try to, Nom taking the inside on Berbagal. Let's see what happens in this final corner. Very high speed, car loaded all the way up, and Nom will slot in behind Berbagal for the run down the start-finish straight. So very much expect to see Nom pull out and try a move here into turn 1, since he's right under Berbagal's deck lid. And there it is, but he decides not to, try a huge dive into turn 1, because very tough to do. Wow, what a race between these guys. Now, getting on back through the field, if we could just take a look at Mayer. He is in the 308 car. There he is, running in that Jägermeister livery with the bright pink wheels to signify his support for Iteret and his family, of course. You may remember that from a few races back. Of course, still thinking about our friend who's having a little trouble with his family. Mayer running in 8th overall. Next closest Spec 2 car is Bradshaw, 228 machine, running overall in 12th. Here we are on board with Bradshaw, whose livery reminds me somewhat of a salad. Looks like it's got some leafy greens and some carrots. A little shredded carrot there.
That one has cracked up Marco Barbanera in the production booth, and that is Arabian. Oh dear, what has happened to Foreign's Arabian? He has got a car that barely resembles a Spec Racer Ford anymore. Looks like it's been through the demo derby.
Yeah, there's nothing silk about that cut. But here we go down the start-finish straight, riding on board with Arabian. We're going to see what happens. Ooh, he had to have gotten a tap in the rear there.
Oh, maybe a second tap as well. That car snapped around twice. We'll have to see an off-board shot of that. Here we go. Oh, tap from the rear. And then a second tap. Oh. And a third tap. 3. That's why his car looks like it does. He got hit 3 times then.
Yeah, unfortunate. Arabian will not be pleased. Berbagal getting very fast and loose with the track limits there in turn 2. And that will cost him. Nom very nearly had him there on left-hander. Left-hander, of course, easy to spot because it is a left-hand turn. And here we go down the very imaginatively named straight. No name straight. Berbagal with Nom all over him. But honestly, guys, I think even though this battle is very well pitched and crazy exciting, I think the real story is Naselli and Winner's pit strategy, getting out in front of Berbigal and Nom. There you can see Winner drove 29 laps, the longest of these leaders by far. You'd have to go all the way back to Mayer, who drove 30. And it worked out well for him. Worked out very well for Naselli, who is, of course, in the lead of the race. Naselli, and there's Winner, just getting around somebody else's car. Winner will do everything he can to close up to Naselli and see what he can do about making a pass. We're just past 35 minutes of this 40-minute race. So if Winner's got any kind of magic up his sleeve in terms of pace, now is the time. Winner's car looking much less abused than does Naselli's car, I think. Oh, Naselli getting a little bit off the track. I'm surprised he managed to hold that in. You know, the left-hand side of the car right there is just so loaded up. So to put it into the grass and still be able to hang onto the car was some great driving on Naselli's part. Unfortunately, it means for him that Winner is all over him with, I'm guessing, 3 or 4 laps left to go. Winner looking like he wanted to try to make a pass into left-hander. Again, not a great place to try a pass. Here we go through right-hander onto the no-name straight. We'll see if Winner decides to pull out and make something happen under braking here into the uphill chicane into turn 5. He chooses not to do that. Here we go into the chicane, navigating those treacherous curbs, and out. If Winner can stay this close and handle these last 2 corners well and stay close to Naselli, he will have a very good chance of making a pass down the start-finish straight. They are close enough to hug one another, Dane. Close enough to reach over and stick a finger in the other man's helmet ear hole. Winner now executing the pass down the start-finish straight.
That should give Winner a bit of confidence there because he was able to pass Naselli before they reached the start-finish line.
Yes, he really did. It was almost as if he had just a few more horsepower there, didn't it? Now, when you look up what to do, there, I believe that is Ray. Unfortunate. Thank you so much, by the way, Stevie, for organizing this series. But he's had some sort of an incident with his car there. Now, the Spec Racer Ford, I'm told, Dane, prefers... Oh, he's just lost the rear in turn 1.
Ooh, it's close behind as well.
You are told Winner with a little bit of gap on Naselli now. So Winner, this might very well end up being Winner's day. But anyway, the Spec Racer Ford, they say, prefers to sort of tractor along than does it prefer to get up into the higher sort of rev ranges. So your power tends to drop off. So it could just be that Winner was in a better position in terms of his gearing that gave him the advantage on Naselli down that straight. And of course, he had the draft. I'm speculating here.
Well, it could be a lot of things, but he has managed to maintain that half a second lead, and that's all he really has to do with just a couple of laps to go at this point. So, yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself at the moment. That gap's slowly starting to decrease, but Naselli not able to really break the half a second or 4/10 barrier at the moment between himself and Winner. Luckily, he doesn't have to worry about the drivers behind because Berbigal and Nom are a good 4 seconds back from Naselli at the moment. Berbigal also managing to keep a bit of a gap on Aaron Nom, and you've got to go back 5.5 further seconds to reach Bohm in 5th. Really surprising, Berbigal and Nom, they were pretty quick out in front, and then all of a sudden in the pit stops they lost a whole heap of time.
Yeah, maybe they're just kind of had their spirit broken. I mean, they still have a race going on, between the two of them. And speaking of a race going on, just a minute ago, we were looking at the 3 cars of Haycox, Van Dormelen, and Fritcher. Those guys all battling for 8th, 9th, and 10th. Here they are, stuck together. And they've had quite an eventful race, as you can see, by nothing else than Van Dormelen's car is a little bit wadded up there in the middle. Oh dear, there's some incident in the uphill chicane. That is another one of these silk cut cars. I think that is Rodriguez again, the number 37 machine. As Berbigal and Nam get by without incident. Berbigal using every bit of the track there. Nam under his rear deck lid. Nam will probably try to pull out here. Oh, Berbigal lets him go. White flag, 1 lap to go. Nam is going to take P3 from Berbigal into turn 1. Let's see what happens in this Big Bend complex. Berbigal, of course, has the better track position. Gets through 2 ahead of Nam, still in P3, but Nam all over Berbigal now. Close
Nam
enough
just
to
has to
readjust.
stay behind and stay close enough to be able to get back ahead by the time they reach the start-finish line. That's exactly what a winner did on Naselli when he made that move. Naselli's going slow up ahead. What happened to Naselli? Naselli's car is ruined. Nam and Berbigal both get past. What's happened to Naselli?
Oh, no. Fuel, maybe?
No, that car was broken. The rear of the car was totally smashed up. I think
his deck lid has been damaged for a while.
that car
here's
was
your
traveling
winner.
a bit as well.
Your winner is, of course, Winner in the number 33 car. A brilliant drive and some great pit strategy on the part of Winner there. Naselli creeping along. He's now in P5. Let's see if he takes the checker in P5 or if he gets past at the line. He stays in P5. We'll have to ask what happens. Here is your Spec 2 winner, Mayer, in the Jägermeister livery across the start-finish line. P2 and Spec 2 will be Bradshaw, I believe, followed by Pereira in the 312 machine. Bradshaw across the start-finish. That's Sadro there.
Sadro just made that move right on the line.
Yeah. Pass for overall place for Sadro, but not in class.
So, only the top 19 finished on the lead lap. Such a short lap here. Only Josh Arnold would be the last person to finish.
So we're riding on board with Nam here. Following Berbigal, there's Naselli. You can hear it sort of dieseling, can't you? Marco thinks it's fuel. Well, we'll find out. We will get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, it actually does sound like fuel.
Yep, that's a good place to start on troubleshooting problems with the race car. If it's an intermittent problem, usually fuel.
Whoa!
If the car just cuts off, usually electrical.
Oh, the demo
No, the
derby,
demo
happening
derby
on
has
the
started.
front stretch. And I get to sit back and enjoy this, and you have to try and concentrate while you read the results.
Well, here they are. Austin Winner, your winner today. Great drive in the number 33 machine, followed by Rafael Berbigal and Aero Nam, who inherited P2 and 3, thanks to Naselli having that, what we think was possibly a fuel issue toward the end of the race. In P4, David Bohm, followed by Naselli, Horns Arabian, and Simon Mayer there in P7, who's followed by Hugh Haycox, Jeff Fritcher, Tim Van Dormelen, and Michael Dobeck. Fritcher must have somehow managed to get around Van Dormelen there right at the end. They are followed by Antonio Race, Dan Sadro, Adam Bradshaw, Carter Hutcherson in P15, John Pereira, Stephen Elson, and Samuel Dick in 18th place. Great race out there. I'm surprised and thrilled by just the quality of racing that we saw today. In P19, we have Josh Arnold, followed by Tom Gradwell, Jesus Rodriguez, Stevie Ray, Gary Cox, Jason Perry, Jeff Jacobson, Johan Betenga, Thomas Renders, and Marco Anastasi. Anastasi in P28, who's followed in 29th by Bobby West, Mick Carr, Stephen Beardsley, Ken Batley, Yost Simpkins, Alessandro Dalladon, who is followed by Jeff Cantor, Brett Nordstrom, Antonio Jalbert, and Ryan L. Bell in P38. In 39th, Nico Shook, followed by Dominique Barreau, Bob Kern, Flavio Andalo, Jörg Manni, Richard Franco, Mike Knudsen, Ian Haycox, Claudio Vacalebre, and Miro Hraski in 48th place, who was followed in 49th by Andres Bertoni, Tony Shook, Jonathan Mino in 51st, Chris Georgianellis was followed by Paul Jackson, Aaron Vigley, Jeremy Lewis, Brian D. Short, J. William Smith, and Peter Mizurek in 58th. I don't think I forgot about you, Joshua Flores, because I did not. And there you are. Although I don't know if he turned a lap or not, given that he's 40 laps down on a 40-lap race. Look at the cars flying in the distance. You would think that each of them is piloted by... Sorry. Never mind, just oh, that's a slow-mo. I was just thinking of Le Mans. Now, it looks like we have a couple of drivers waiting to be interviewed. Dane, do you want first choice?
I think, Jim, you should start off with the winner of the race.
Very well. Let me move him in. Well, winner, are you hearing us? How are you?
Yeah, I hear you guys fine. I'm great.
Well, congratulations on your win today. A lot of things just ended up going right for you, didn't they?
Apparently, I kind of messed up. I don't know if I was late on the brakes or Rafa was early or whatever, but I was about to rear end him, so I had to get on the brakes harder than I wanted to. And you know, in that trail break, I lost the rear end and had a little off track going into one. But then after the pit cycle, I came out in second, so they must have had issues without me. And I think Maurizio was running out of fuel, and luckily I had just enough to get to the line.
Yeah, we saw you have that little incident between turn 1 and 2 there, exactly as you described. You know, you guys were coming in pretty hot into turn 1, and then Bergal just had to brake check because of a car ahead of him, which, as you say, caused you to have a sort of an off-track excursion. But you certainly rebounded well. I mean, so in that moment, were you thinking, there goes my race?
Oh, absolutely. Right before that, I think Maurizio fell off the draft, so I thought, wow, it's just the three of us. We'll figure out the podium between just the three of us. Already thinking what I'm going to say in this interview, and then a lap later, I'm off track thinking, well, fourth is the best I can do.
Yeah. Well, a lot of fortunes really changed right there toward the end of the race. I was saying at the beginning of the broadcast how I feel that this track and this car are so well suited for one another because of the way that the Spec Racer Ford likes to slide, and this, a lot of the turns on this track are sort of with you in terms of camber. What's your feeling on the matchup between car and track?
It's certainly a fun one, and being a free track, everybody has a lot of experience on it. It's a little dicey going into one. The Spec Racer is really on edge when you're trail braking like that. It's really tail happy just off throttle, so then you add brakes into that. You got to really dial in your brake bias and trust it, and if you come in too hot like I did that one time, there's no saving it. But it makes for a fun technical track. There's not too much draft going on, a little bit in the front stretch, but enough that you can break away from somebody.
Yeah, well, like we say, I'm not imagining things, or in the first couple of laps, did you have another issue as well?
If I did, I was oblivious to it. I think I had a pretty good race until I had that off track. But I must have gotten really lucky because Aero and Rafa, I wasn't even saving fuel, and they were pulling away from me nearly. Without their draft, I would have been left in the dust. So to find them out of it, I don't know what happened to them, but it was a gift.
Yeah, I'm sure they're wondering as well, but we'll get to their interviews in a moment and find out. Well, Austin, congratulations on your result today. You must be feeling on top of the world. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, just thank you guys for always doing this wonderful broadcast, and thanks to anybody who's watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in.
You bet. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Quite a show today. That is your race winner, Austin Winner, the aptly named Austin Winner. And now I think Dane will probably have an interview with one of our other drivers. Dane, whom have you chosen?
Well, I've been told we've got time for one more. So I think, out of the two drivers that I have to choose from, I'm going to take Spec 2 winner. and that is Simon Mayer. So let's get Simon Mayer in for a chat. If I can get him in here. And he joins us now. Simon, welcome. Can you hear us?
Hi guys.
Well, 7th place for you, I am seeing at the end of the race. But importantly for you, 1st place in Spec 2. Pretty decent result for yourself.
Yeah, I had a good quali. The race was pretty intense the first few laps, as it always is around here, but managed to stay out of trouble pretty much. Had, I think, a small incident with Jason, lap 2 or so, which I think put him on the grass, unfortunately. But apart from that, it was a good race for me, yeah.
Well, you were only one of, if I'm looking down the timing screen at the moment, one of 2 drivers to make the fuel last 30 laps. So were you fuel saving for most of the race, or was that only something that crossed your mind nearer to the time of making the pit stop?
To be honest, I wasn't really looking at the fuel or fuel saving. I think I could have even done another lap, but I was having a bit of trouble, or I was being held up slightly by a back marker, so I decided to pit a lap earlier.
Well, that's pretty impressive. That would have made you definitely the most efficient in terms of fuel, at least, driver on the circuit. 7th place overall. Not bad at all. 7 places gained as well, so keeping yourself out of trouble would have helped with that as well. But where were the main overtaking opportunities? I would assume down into turn 1.
Yeah, that's about the only place to get past anyone, I think. If you're running roughly the same speed like everyone is here, then it's difficult to overtake even into turn 1. You're pretty much relying on people falling off the track to make up places, which I think is where most of my position gains came, actually.
Absolutely, and with such a short lap around this circuit, traffic, as you mentioned with your pit stop, you pitted a lap early because of traffic. Traffic must have been pretty hectic.
Yeah, the first few laps, of course. Then it thins out a little. Then you start to pick up the back markers, the lap traffic, and most of them were very good, to be honest. Very easy to read where they were going, and everyone kind of stays out of each other's way. Well, that was, at least with me, anyway.
Absolutely, everyone seemed to be pretty respectful on the circuit. And yeah, Simon, congratulations on the Spec 2 win and on the 7th place overall. 2 very good results for you that should help your cause in the Spec 2 standings as we head into the second half of the season in just a few rounds' time. Well, Simon, thank you so much for joining us for an interview here on Apex Racing TV. But before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks to the sponsors, RaceVoice. Thanks to you guys for hosting, and look to see you next week.
Absolutely. Well, congrats on the win, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week.
Well, Dane. Oh, sorry, I'm just speaking over you. I think you were just going to wrap up your interview there.
I think that was just Simon saying thanks. But yeah, thanks, Simon, for joining us, and yeah, we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, everybody, for a great race. Looking forward to it next week, as I know we all are. Cannot wait. We'll see you then.